You play love, I play truth. My wife told me to sleep in the garage while her real boyfriend came over. She had no idea who I really was. 18 years in intelligence operations, and she thought I was just a quiet IT guy. By 3 a.m., I had 83 missed calls. Her text said, "Who the hell are you? My name is Adam Kessler. I'm 47 years old, and for the past 4 years, I've been living a lie. Not the kind of lie most people tell. The kind that becomes your entire existence." For 18 years before that, I worked for a government agency that officially doesn't exist. Deep cover operations across 4 continents. The kind of work where your real name gets buried under layers of false identities. And you learn to become whoever the mission requires. I tracked terrorist cells through the Middle East, dismantled human trafficking networks in Eastern Europe, did things I'll never be allowed to talk about. When I finally retired 4 years ago at 43, I was exhausted, burned out. I'd seen enough darkness to last 10 lifetimes. I wanted something different, something clean and simple. That's how I became Adam Kessler, mild-mannered cybersecurity consultant who worked from home. Average height, lean build, the kind of face that disappears in a crowd. I kept my hair short, wore polo shirts and khakis, said yes, dear. More times than I can count. I was the picture of a domesticated husband. Perfectly, deliberately unremarkable. I met Elena at a charity event in Denver where she was managing corporate sponsorships for a children's hospital fundraiser. She was 38 then, successful in her marketing director role, confident and organized. Everything I thought I needed after years of chaos. She seemed stable, someone who could give me the normal life I craved. We dated for 10 months. I was attentive, patient, generous. She liked that I was calm, that I never caused drama, that I seemed content with a quiet suburban life. We got married in a small ceremony, bought a 4-bedroom house in a good school district in Aurora, even though we didn't have kids yet. Then came Leo, now 9 years old. Smart kid, loves baseball and science experiments. Then Mia, 6 years old, who draws pictures of unicorns and asks a million questions about everything. They made everything feel real, like I'd actually left that old life behind for good. But here's the thing about playing a role when you're really good at it. People believe it completely, and I was very, very good at it. Elena saw exactly what I showed her. A quiet, accommodating guy who worked from his home office, who handled the school pickups, who cooked dinner most nights, and never complained. She loved that at first. After a string of failed relationships with aggressive men who'd left her emotionally drained, she thought she'd found someone safe, someone she could control. What she didn't realize was that underneath the mild-mannered exterior, I was still the same person who'd spent 18 years in some of the world's most dangerous situations. I just got very good at hiding it. The marriage started well enough. I genuinely wanted normal. I ignored the small cruelties. The way she dismissed my opinions in front of friends, how she'd make decisions about the kids without consulting me, the passive-aggressive comments about my career being less demanding than hers. I told myself this was what normal marriages were like, that maybe I just didn't understand civilian relationships after so many years undercover. My best friend, Mark Dawson, had warned me early on. Mark Dawson and I went back 20 years. We'd served together overseas, survived situations that would break most people, saved each other's lives more times than either of us could count. He'd left the agency 5 years before me, started a private security consulting firm in Seattle, married a pediatric surgeon named Sarah, who understood the baggage we carried. We talked every month via video call. About 6 months into my marriage, Mark looked at me through the screen with that expression I knew too well. The one that meant he'd spotted something I'd missed. "She doesn't respect you, brother," Mark said, his voice careful. "I can see in how she talks over you, how she dismisses everything you say. You're not building a partnership here. You're being a doormat." I'd gotten defensive. Maybe that's what I need right now. Someone who sees me as normal, not as whatever I used to be. There's a difference between being safe and being invisible. "Adam, you're playing this role so well. You're forgetting who you actually are." I'd brush him off. I wasn't ready to admit he was right. The real turning point came 4 months ago. Elena started staying late at work 3 or 4 nights a week. Her phone suddenly had a password, something she'd never used before in our entire relationship. She started hitting the gym 5 days a week instead of her usual twice-weekly routine, buying expensive new workout clothes that seemed designed to impress someone, coming home smelling of cologne that wasn't mine. Classic signs. My old training made them impossible to miss. Infidelity, probably with an agenda beyond just the affair. I could have confronted her immediately. Could have accessed her phone in 30 seconds flat. That skill set doesn't just disappear when you retire. Instead, I waited, watched, documented everything quietly. Because if there's one thing my old life taught me, it was patience, rush, and emotional, and you lose control. Take your time, gather intelligence, understand the full picture, and you win. 3 weeks ago, I overheard a phone conversation that confirmed everything and revealed just how deep this went. Elena was in our garage, thinking I was upstairs helping Mia with her homework. But I come back down to grab my phone charger and heard her voice through the door. Completely different than I'd ever heard it. Younger, excited, breathless. I can't wait either, baby. Just a little longer. He's so clueless. He won't even see it coming. Elena said, my lawyer says I'll get the house, and with his income, child support will set us up perfectly. My blood went cold. She was already planning the divorce, already counting money that would come from destroying our family. Victor, I love you so much. Soon we won't have to hide anymore. Victor, I ran a background check that night using resources I'd sworn I'd never access again. Victor Trent, 42 years old, called himself a business coach and motivational speaker. He had a reputation in certain circles as someone who targeted married women for sport, manipulated them into bad financial decisions, then disappeared when things got messy. Victor Trent was exactly what I expected. Worse, actually, the background check painted a clear picture of a predator who'd refined his technique over years. He'd never been married despite being 42. 3 paternity suits settled quietly over the past decade. A string of business partners who'd accused him of fraud before cases mysteriously disappeared. He called himself a business coach, but his real business was seducing married women, draining their assets, then vanishing before the consequences caught up. His pattern was consistent. Target women in their late 30s or early 40s, usually successful, usually with money or valuable assets. String them along with promises of a future together. Convince them to make financial decisions that benefited him, then disappear when the divorce got complicated. Elena was his 5th target in 4 years that I could confirm. The other 4 had all ended the same way. Women divorced, financially destroyed, emotionally devastated. Victor moved on without facing any consequences. But there was more. Victor had a technical partner handling the sophisticated side of the operation. Shell companies in Delaware, offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands, complex real estate schemes. This was an amateur fraud. This required expertise Victor didn't have. I spent 2 weeks digging deeper, following money trails, accessing databases most civilians didn't know existed. The technical partner turned out to be someone named Derek Vance, former NSA contractor, 43 years old. He'd left government service under questionable circumstances 7 years ago. Together, they built a machine. Victor was the face, the charmer. Derek built the financial infrastructure that made the money disappear. Meanwhile, Elena's behavior got worse. She stopped even pretending to care about her family. She'd come home late, ignore Leo and Mia, lock herself in our bedroom for hours on her phone. At dinner, when she bothered to show up, she'd pick at her food and answer the kids' questions with one-word responses. Leo noticed. He started acting out at school, getting into fights. His teacher called 3 times in 2 weeks. Mia started having nightmares. She'd wake up crying at 2 a.m., asking me why mommy didn't love us anymore. I held my daughter while she sobbed, feeling something cold and familiar wake up inside me. The part of me that had tracked terrorists across borders. The part that had dismantled criminal networks with precision. The part that made dangerous people afraid. I tried so hard to bury that person. To be normal, to be safe, to be the mild-mannered husband and father. But my children were suffering. And the men responsible thought I was too weak to fight back. They had no idea who they were dealing with. Last Tuesday, I got a call from Leo's school. Dr. Evelyn Reed, the school psychologist, wanted to meet with me. She was in her early 50s, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Mr. Kessler, I need to talk to you about Leo, she said when I arrived at her office. He's been drawing some concerning pictures in our class. She showed me the drawings. Dark, violent images, figures standing over broken families, houses splitting apart. Leo told me something yesterday. Dr. Reed continued carefully. He said, "There's a strange man who comes to your house at night sometimes. That his mother tells him and his sister to stay in their rooms and be quiet." My blood turned to ice, but I kept my expression neutral. Years of training made that automatic. "A strange man?" I asked quietly. Dr. Reed nodded. He wouldn't give me details. "But Mr. Kessler, I've been doing this for 26 years. Whatever's happening in your home, it's affecting both your children badly." Mia's teacher mentioned she's been withdrawn lately, too. I sat there processing this. Victor Trent have been in my home around my children while I've been playing the oblivious husband thinking I was gathering evidence. My kids are being traumatized. "I need to ask you something directly," Dr. Reed said. "Is there domestic instability, infidelity? I'm not here to judge. I'm here to help these kids." Something about her directness, her genuine concern, made me trust her. Maybe I need an ally. Maybe I was tired of doing this alone. "My wife is having an affair," I said. The words felt strange. I never said them out loud before. "With a man who targets married women for money. I've been gathering evidence for divorce proceedings." Dr. Reed's expression didn't change, but I saw understanding in her eyes. "And the children know." I didn't think they did. "I've been careful. Children always know, Mr. Kessler. They just don't always have the words to explain what they're feeling." She pulled out a card and wrote something on the back. "This is my personal number. If you need documentation of the psychological impact on Leo and Mia for custody proceedings, I'll help. But please, whatever you're planning, do it quickly. Every day, this continues damages them more." I left her office with new determination. I've been patient, methodical, careful, but I'd forgotten the most important thing. This wasn't just about justice or revenge. It was about protecting my children. That night, everything came to a head. I made dinner like always. Grilled chicken, roasted vegetables, the kind of meal Elena used to love. She came home at 7:30, barely glanced at the food. "I'm not hungry," she said, scrolling through her phone. Leo and Mia ate quietly, watching their mother with sad eyes. After dinner, Elena went upstairs to shower. She took over an hour using expensive bath products I'd never seen before. When she came back down, she was wearing the black dress I bought her for her anniversary last year. Full makeup, hairstyled perfectly. She looked beautiful. She also looked like she was going somewhere important. But instead of leaving, she walked into the living room where I was reading with Mia curled up next to me. "I need you to take the kids to your mother's house tonight," Elena said. Her voice was cold, businesslike. "Actually, take them now, and then don't come back until tomorrow morning." I closed the book slowly. "Excuse me. You heard me. I have plans. Adult plans. Take the kids and leave." Mia looked up at me with frightened eyes. Leo appeared in the doorway, his face pale. I looked at Elena, standing there in that black dress. Makeup perfect, asking me to remove our children from their own home so she could entertain her lover. Something inside me shifted. Not anger. Colder than that. Clearer. "No," I said simply. Her eyes widened. I'd never refused her anything in 4 years. "What did you say?" I said. "No, this is their home. I'm not taking them anywhere." "Fine." Her voice turned sharp. "Then you're sleeping in the garage tonight. My real boyfriend is coming over, so take your pillow and whatever else you need and get out there. He'll be here in an hour, and I want you gone." She said it with such casual cruelty, such absolute confidence that I was too weak to challenge her. Leo appeared at the top of the stairs, his face pale. He'd heard everything. "Elena." I started, my voice still calm. "Don't Elena me. This marriage has been dead for months. We both know it. Victor actually has ambition. Actually excites me. You're just here taking up space." I could have said 1,000 things. Could have told her about the offshore account. I'd already flagged to the IRS. Could have mentioned Victor's 3 paternity suits or his pattern of destroying women's lives. Could have explained exactly who I used to be. Instead, I picked up my keys from the coffee table. I heard you. Wait, what are you doing? You told me to leave. I'm leaving. Her confidence faltered. We need to discuss this like adults. Set boundaries for going forward. You just told me to sleep in the garage while your boyfriend visits. I think the boundaries are pretty clear. I walked to the stairs. Leo, Mia, come here, please. Both kids came down. Mia holding her stuffed rabbit. Both of them looking scared. I knelt down to their level. I need you two to be very brave tonight. Stay in your rooms, okay? No matter what you hear. Lock your doors. I'll be back tomorrow morning, and we're going to fix everything. I promise. Where are you going, Daddy? Mia asked, tears in her eyes. Somewhere I can think clearly. Sweetheart. I hugged them both tight, then stood. I looked at Elena one last time. Enjoy your evening. I walked out without another word, got on my Honda Civic, and drove. Not to a hotel yet. First, I had a call to make. Mark Dawson answered on the second ring. Adam, it's almost midnight here. I need you on a plane tomorrow. It's time about time, brother. Sarah is already packing my bag. I checked into a Hampton Inn, paid cash, and went to my room. Then, I activated the surveillance feeds I'd installed in our house 3 months ago. Hidden cameras, military-grade equipment that was invisible unless you knew where to look. At 8:47 p.m., Victor Trent pulled into my driveway in a silver BMW M5 leased, according to the financial records I pulled. The man was mortgaged to his eyeballs, leveraged on properties with debts approaching $3 million. Elena met him at the door. They kissed like teenagers, then disappeared inside. I didn't watch what happened in the bedroom. I had all the evidence I needed. Instead, I pulled up the comprehensive file I'd built on Victor Trent and Derek Vance. Then I waited. At 11 p.m., my phone buzzed. A text from Elena. Where are you? I didn't respond. Midnight. Adam, answer me. This is childish. I turned off my phone's ringer and continued working on my laptop. 1 a.m. You can't just disappear. We have children to think about. 2 a.m. I'm calling the police. If you don't respond. 2:45 a.m. My phone started ringing. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again and again. By 3 a.m., I had 83 missed calls. Then came the text that changed everything. Please come back. Victor saw something on your laptop. He Googled your name and freaked out. Started yelling about you being dangerous. He left. Adam, who the hell are you? I smiled for the first time in hours. Earlier that evening, before I'd left, I deliberately left my laptop open in my home office, open to a carefully curated selection of files. Nothing classified enough to bring heat from my old agency, but enough to make any civilian think twice. Military records from my old cover identity showing me as a Marine Special Operations Officer. Some redacted mission reports with just enough visible to be terrifying. Phrases like high-value target neutralized and operations in hostile territory. A single photo from Syria showing me in full tactical gear, face half hidden, standing over a detained hostile with a rifle. In a newspaper article from 9 years ago about a government operative known only as Spectre, who stopped a domestic terror attack by eliminating an entire cell before they could strike. Victor found it all, and it had scared him enough to run. I picked up my phone and sent Elena one text. Hemp in on Route 6, room 318. Don't call tonight. We'll talk tomorrow. Then I'd turn off the phone completely. Tomorrow the real work would begin. Tomorrow I'd stop being the quiet husband who absorbed every insult. Tomorrow I'd show them both exactly who they'd been underestimating. But tonight, I slept better than I had in months. I woke at 5 a.m., my body still wired to old habits from 18 years of field work. I ran 5 miles on the hotel treadmill, showered, and sat in the lobby with coffee by 7. Mark Dawson walked through the doors at 8:15, a duffel bag over his shoulder. He looked the same as always. Solid, dependable, the kind of man you wanted at your back when things went sideways. Brother, he said, pulling me into a brief hug. You look different, less like a ghost. I stopped pretending last night. We went up to my room. I spread out everything I compiled over the past 3 months. Financial records, surveillance photos, background checks on Victor Trent and Derek Vance, documented evidence of Elena's affair and her planned financial destruction of our family. Mark whistled low. This is solid work, Adam. You've got them dead to rights. It's not enough. I need to protect Leo and Mia. Elena's already planning to use false allegations against me in custody proceedings. Her lawyer, Nina Vance, she's Derek's sister, disbarred 3 years ago for fabricating evidence in divorce cases. They're running a family business. Mark said Victor charms the wives. Derek handles the money. Nina manufactures legal leverage. Smart operation was a smart operation. I'm about to burn it down. My phone rang. I turned it back on an hour ago. Elena's name flashed on the screen. Don't answer yet, Mark said. Let her sweat a little longer. Meanwhile, tell me about these kids. How bad is it? I showed him the drawings Leo and Mia had made. The pictures Dr. Evelyn Reed had shared with me. Mark's jaw tightened as he looked through them. These children have been living in a war zone, he said quietly. Adam, I know you wanted to do this clean, but sometimes you have to fight dirty to protect what matters. I'm ready to fight however I need to. Good. Mark pulled out his laptop because I brought some resources. Sarah knows a family court judge here in Colorado. Judge Isabel Chun. She's got a reputation for not tolerating manipulation or false allegations. If we can get your custody case in front of her, you've got a shot. We spent the next 2 hours building a strategy. Mark had connections I'd almost forgotten about. Former colleagues who owed favors. Legal experts who specialize in high-conflict custody cases. Forensic accountants who could trace money through any number of shell companies. At 10 a.m., I finally called Elena back. She answered on the first ring. Adam, thank God. Where are you? We need to talk face to face. Not at the house. Okay. Yes. There's a coffee shop on Miller Street. Brew Point. Can you meet me there in an hour? I'll be there. I hung up. Mark looked at me. You want backup? No. I need to do this part alone, but stay ready. If things go sideways, I'll need you. I arrived at Brew Point 15 minutes early. Chose a table in the back corner with clear sight lines to all exits. Old habits. Elena walked in exactly on time, wearing jeans and a sweater, minimal makeup. She looked exhausted, scared even. She sat down across from me. Adam, I don't even know where to start. Start with the truth, Elena. Just once. Tell me the truth. Elena's hands shook as she wrapped them around the coffee cup I'd ordered for her. Black, 2 sugars the way she'd always taken it. Some habits die hard. I made a terrible mistake. She started. Her voice was small. Nothing like the confident, cruel woman who told me to sleep in the garage 2 nights ago. Victor, he wasn't who I thought he was. Who did you think he was? Someone successful? Someone exciting? Someone who made me feel like I mattered. She looked up at me with tears in her eyes. You were always so calm, so accommodating. I started to feel invisible, like I could do anything and you wouldn't even notice. I noticed everything, Elena. Every late night, every lie, every time you looked at our children like they were inconveniences. She flinched. I know. I've been a terrible mother. But Victor, he said, once we were together, once we got your money in the house, we could start fresh. That he'd help me be better. He was lying. Victor Trent is a con artist. He's done this to 4 other women in the past 4 years. He seduces married women, convinces them to drain their assets, then disappears when things get complicated. Her face went pale. No, he loves me. He loves your money, Elena. Or rather, my money. The college funds I set up for Leo and Mia. The retirement accounts. That's what he wanted. I pulled out a folder and slid it across the table. This is Victor's real background. The paternity suits, the fraud accusations, the restraining orders. She opened the folder with trembling hands, her eyes scanning the pages. I watched the realization hit her. The color drained from her face entirely. Oh God, she whispered. Oh God, what have I done? You've destroyed our marriage. Traumatized our children. Planned to take everything I've worked for and give it to a criminal. My voice was level factual. Leo is fighting at school because of the stress. Mia has nightmares every night. Your affair has damaged them in ways that will take years to fix. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know it was affecting them like that. You didn't care enough to notice. She was crying now. Real tears, not the manipulative kind. What are you going to do? I've already done it. I filed for divorce this morning. I'm citing infidelity and requesting full custody of Leo and Mia based on documented psychological harm. Dr. Evelyn Reed from their school will testify about the damage you've caused. You can't take my children away from me. I'm not taking them away. You pushed them away yourself. I leaned forward. But there's something else you need to know, Elena. Something about who I really am. Her eyes widened. Victor said something. He saw files on your computer. Military records. Mission reports. He said, you were dangerous. I spent 18 years working for an intelligence agency in deep cover operations, counterterrorism, mostly. Some things I'll never be allowed to talk about. When I retired 4 years ago, I wanted normal. I wanted safe. So, I became Adam Kessler, the quiet cybersecurity consultant. She stared at me like she was seeing me for the first time. But I'm not that person, Elena. I never was. I was playing a role just like I did for 18 years overseas. And you, Victor, Derek Vance, Nina Vance, all of you thought I was weak. Thought I was someone you could manipulate and destroy. Derek Vance, Nina, Victor's technical partner and legal muscle. There. All going down. Elena, I've already contacted the FBI about their fraud operation. The IRS is investigating those offshore accounts you thought were so secret. The next 2 weeks moved like a controlled detonation. Everything I'd carefully planned fell into place with precision. Mark and I met with the FBI field office in Denver. I handed them 3 months of documented evidence on Victor Trent and Derek Vance. Financial fraud, wire fraud, racketeering, conspiracy. The agent in charge, a sharp woman named Agent Maria Rojas, reviewed the files with increasing interest. Mr. Kessler, this is extremely thorough work. Agent Rojas said, how did you compile all this? I have a background in intelligence analysis. I said, simply, I know how to follow money trails. She didn't press further. Within 48 hours, the FBI arrested Victor at his lease apartment. Derek Vance was picked up the same day at his office in Boulder. Nina Vance, the disbarred attorney, was charged as an accessory. The evidence was overwhelming. Financial records showing $4 million stolen from 7 women over 5 years. Offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands. Shell companies in Delaware and Nevada. Emails between Victor and Derek discussing targets, strategies, and how to maximize extraction from each victim. Victor's expensive lawyer took one look at the case and advised him to take a plea deal. Victor refused, screaming about government conspiracies and illegal surveillance. The judge denied bail. He spent the next month in county jail watching his life collapse. Meanwhile, the divorce proceedings moved forward. Elena tried to fight for joint custody, but Dr. Evelyn Reed's testimony destroyed any credibility she had. Reed detailed the psychological damage to Leo and Mia, showed the disturbing drawings they'd made, explained how prolonged exposure to parental infidelity and household instability had traumatized both children. Judge Isabel Chun listened to everything with a stern expression. She was in her early 60s with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. When Elena's lawyer tried to argue that she'd been deceived by Victor, that she was a victim, too, Judge Chun cut him off. Mrs. Kessler made a choice to bring a stranger into her home around her minor children. The judge set her voice like steel. She told her husband to leave so her lover could visit. She prioritized her affair over her children's well-being. That is not the behavior of a fit parent. The custody ruling came down hard. I got primary physical custody of Leo and Mia. Elena was granted supervised visitation every other weekend, pending completion of parenting classes and family therapy. The financial settlement was equally brutal. The house was mine. The retirement accounts were mine. Elena got minimal spousal support for 2 years. And even that was contingent on her cooperation with the children's therapy. She left the courtroom in tears, supported by her mother, who'd testified against her own daughter after learning the full extent of what Elena had done. 3 weeks after the arrests, Victor Trent went to trial. I sat in the back of the courtroom for sentencing. Derek Vance had taken a plea deal, agreed to testify against Victor in exchange for a reduced sentence. The testimony was damning. 7 women took the stand one by one, describing how Victor had destroyed their lives, their savings, their families. 1 woman had lost her house. Another had declared bankruptcy. A third had attempted suicide after Victor disappeared with everything she had. Victor's face remained impassive through most of it. But when the verdict came down guilty on all counts, he finally broke. He looked back at me sitting in the gallery, and our eyes met. I saw rage there. Hatred, impotent fury. I gave him a small nod, nothing more. Then I walked out. Victor Trent got 18 years in federal prison with no possibility of parole for 12. Derek Vance got 10 years for cooperating. Nina Vance lost her law license permanently and got 3 years probation. Together, they were ordered to pay $6.2 million in restitution to their victims. The house felt different after Elena moved out. Lighter somehow. I repainted the kids' rooms. Let them choose the colors. Leo picked blue with star decals on the ceiling. Mia wanted a purple with white flowers. The first few months are hard. Both kids needed therapy twice a week. Leo's anger slowly subsided as Dr. Reed helped him process everything. Mia's nightmares became less frequent. They both started smiling again, laughing at dinner, acting like kids instead of walking on eggshells. Mark and I launched a security consulting firm together. Dawson and Kessler Security, specializing in fraud prevention, corporate investigations, and executive protection. We took on cases pro bono sometimes, helping other people who'd been targeted by con artists, connecting victims with resources and legal support. Elena completed her parenting classes. After 8 months, the supervised visits became regular visits. She was genuinely trying to rebuild her relationship with Leo and Mia. It would take years, maybe forever, but she was making an effort. I didn't hate her anymore. I just felt nothing. She was the mother of my children, and for their sake, I maintained civil communication. But the woman I'd married, the life we built, that was gone completely. 10 months after the divorce was finalized, I spoke at a law enforcement conference in Dallas about financial fraud and domestic manipulation. I stood in front of 300 officers, FBI agents, and prosecutors and told them my story about being underestimated, about fighting back, about protecting your children above everything else. Predators like Victor Trent thrive on isolation. I told them they make victims feel alone and ashamed. Break that isolation. Connect the victims. Show them the pattern. And suddenly they're not alone anymore. That's how you fight back. Document everything. Stay patient. Never underestimate yourself or anyone else. The standing ovation felt better than any commendation I'd received in 18 years of government service. Now I teach self-defense classes at the community center, helping people who've faced manipulation or abuse learn to protect themselves. I volunteer teaching financial literacy, warning others about the red flags I missed. I adopted a German shepherd named Max, who follows Leo and Mia around like their personal guardian. For 18 years, I was someone created by an intelligence agency. For 4 years, I was the man my ex-wife wanted me to be. Now, I'm just myself. No masks, no pretending. When people ask if I regret anything, I tell them the truth. Elena telling me to sleep in the garage while her boyfriend visited was the best thing that ever happened to me. It forced me to stop being small, stop pretending to be less than I was. I'm not that quiet man anymore who stayed invisible to keep the peace. I don't hide what I'm capable of. I'm Adam Kessler, and that's enough.